Welcome to the Unstoppable Force podcast.
I'm Guy,
I'm Rob.
and we're back with another week on our 22nd episode. Is it? I
Think
think we
so.
didn't say it last time, right?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to anymore.
Well, I feel like everybody, like they usually. I guess that's not true. Not every podcast talks about the number, but I
Like,
guess we're so low that it's like
feel
sort
like
of
maybe if
more.
you hit like 25, or like
Mm-hmm.
50 is like a good round
Mm-hmm.
high number.
But then it's like GMM, you get to like those thousands, and it's just like none of it matters anymore,
Right.
except for like every 1,000.
Yeah.
We're only on our like 21st though, so still
22nd.
babies in the eyes of the internet.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, welcome back for another week. This week we're gonna be talking about the iPhone.
Well,
Woo!
yeah, and all the Apple reveals.
And
And
that all just basically happened over the last few days, and so we decided that we were gonna kind of like recap the general information, and give some of our own personal
reactions,
commentary.
yeah.
Yeah, and our reactions. But just to jump right into it, iPhone 11 announced.
Yeah.
Some new cameras.
It's basically all they went for.
Yeah. Not exactly the most exciting. Apple. What is what is it called? Like presentation, event. What are they
Event.
calling it again? Conference.
Conference, maybe?
Expose.
It's just an event, Apple event.
Okay, so they're just calling it event.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's not really much new.
No, in fact, most not I don't know if it's most of it, but a lot of it kind of came from like previous features from other phones now. Like they just got Night Sight, which
Yeah.
like Google had come out with, where you can get like super dark room, no lighting, whatever, wherever you are, super dark, and you can take a picture and it just is able to like grab a really good photo in a really dark area.
Right. It's supposed to it had something to do with like exposure and
Yeah,
stuff too.
yeah.
I remember actually watching the slow-mo guys do like a video where they like had these like sparks coming off of I think it was steel wool actually. They were like lighting on fire. It was like magnesium or something.
Yeah.
And they did like the pictures with the Google
Yeah.
with the Pixel because they were sponsored. And some of the ones where they would spin would create like this circle, like as if you did like a long exposure on the
Right.
camera and you would like draw with
Yeah,
lights
you
and
have to
shit.
hold it like really still. It's like hold still and it takes like good like 2 or so seconds. At least on the Google.
Yeah, so it's like it takes like all the information and then I guess like some AI will put it all
Oh yeah.
together.
Yeah. It definitely was like a soft, at least on Google when Google came out with it, theirs was like a software update. Like the camera lenses were all out and then they just came out with it with their software.
So it's not even really like a hardware update for Apple either. They're just copying what other companies are doing at this point.
Yeah, I mean they have 2 cameras
At
on the
least on
back.
the base version.
On the base version it's 2 cameras.
Yeah.
It's wide, right? Wide
Like a
lens.
wide angle lens.
And then like an ultra wide, I think, is the other one.
Yeah.
And then the third one that's on the Pro and Pro Max is the telephoto, which is a zoom lens type of deal.
But they kind of already, I mean, at least in the previous versions, I believe they do have like the zoom one on the X and X Max. Was it X Pro?
There's Max.
Was it Max or Pro?
Or was
XR,
Pro Max.
X, and then, or it's XR, X, and XS.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And so they kind of went in on these like cameras as like the main feature for the new phone, but everything else, I mean, I think they went up to 4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
But then all their competitors are going to 8 gigs. But then there's like the whole issue of does it even really matter that they're going to 8 gigs either? Because if I'm a developer, I'm making apps for the 2 different phones. If I only have half as much memory on one, I have to make my apps for the weaker, less powerful phone.
I mean, don't you make it for different like software, or is it gonna be like the same thing if you port it from like iOS to Android? Because if you're gonna do it onto Android, then they're all going up. Might as well make it for those guys.
Well, I guess what I mean is like they're not going to implement any features that would be more demanding than an iPhone could handle.
Yeah.
So it might just run smoother and like
Well,
work
this
better,
yeah.
but they're not gonna like come out like for example like a video game
Mhm.
that requires 8 GB of
Yeah.
RAM. They couldn't come out with that and then like I guess they would only have to have it on the Android. But then
Mhm.
I mean it's possible. There's I think
Mhm.
it's like about 80% or more of all smartphones are Android phones,
Yeah.
so it probably wouldn't even be that bad.
No. Well, I think the main part of it is Apple gets to get better RAM and then make their software compatible with that so that their older phones that have 4 gigs of RAM die off, and then everybody's forced to go buy the new phones with the more RAM.
Uh huh.
Because, like, oh, the software's not supported on this hardware anymore. Like, well, no shit. You updated the hardware over there, and then you want to do an update across the board.
Yeah. Maybe like the next one is like their big game changer phone, and they're just like, we'll give them something,
Well,
make them, keep them happy for a year, give them a
mhm,
little something, something, nothing
yeah,
special, and then next year, we're gonna come out with some crazy new battery or like
I don't know.
some,
The,
switch over to USB-C, which is like it was a rumor that
yeah,
didn't come
right,
out, and then there was like the stylus
yeah.
that was also a rumor that didn't happen.
There's always some sort of update that is fancier, I think, in like the mid-year release, like whenever they update it just a little bit, or whatever's in between the years.
Yeah.
Whenever they do that little like you can call it like point 0.5, where it's
Hmm.
like not quite the next phone, that's usually where they get some nice gimmick in there, and then
Hmm.
they kind of sell you in on that.
I mean, at some point, I really feel like people are going to get tired of these new phones and just be like, I'll skip a year.
Hmm. Well, they have already. I think there's trends showing that at least people like average lifespan at least now is like 2 years or something
Hmm.
of a phone, and that's just because the quality's getting better and they're lasting longer, which is good.
Yeah.
It's just you can't turn over phones that much. That means for the companies, but
Right. And they want to come out with a new one every year. But if there's not like these major jumps in
mhm,
technology, then it's like, oh, I get new
yeah.
cameras.
I
And it's
imagine
like, whatever.
But I imagine like it has to be like I want to just for random numbers sake say like half the people buy a phone in 1 year and then half people buy the phone the next year. Now you have every year release. So now like for Samsung for example, people really liked like their Galaxy S3, and then 2 years later they get the 5. But then if you run in on the 4, now you're gonna get the 6, and then you're gonna be at a 2 year
Hmm.
generation gap where you're gonna follow that. But you come out with one every year to give that person 2 year the 2 years ago. So,
I
like,
wonder
you're
if at any point it would switch over to like now coming out every 2 years, but I highly doubt it because I'm sure that
mm,
they're more interested in making it like money off of people who are rich enough to just always
mm.
upgrade.
Yeah, yeah, and on top of that, I think, it's gotta be Sprint that they came out the new deal where, like, instead of, financing your phone, you lease it. So
Hmm.
then in 6 months from paying, like, the payments on your phone, you get the option to pay it out and finishing the financing, buy it out all the money, or you get to trade it in
Yeah.
to continue your lease with the brand new phone of the next version in, like, 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's how they rope people like Sprint's holding people in with their contracts is that to keep them on that lease consistently. You get and every 6 months you get a new phone for the same price of your previous
Yeah.
phone.
Actually, I remember like hearing that apparently with Sprint, if you actually pay off the whole price of your phone and you don't like upgrade, in the contracts it'll actually continue to charge you
Really?
past the full price.
Huh.
And it was like only Sprint that did that. I've
It's
heard that
interesting.
somewhere. I think it might have been somebody trying to sell me on T-Mobile though.
Mm.
So who knows?
Well, it's like in like the service provider's best interest to keep the people right on their service. So now
Hmm.
they want to incentivize them to give them a new phone. So they might as well come out with a new phone every year.
Right. I mean, even with this phone, I think it's like $700 for
Yeah,
the iPhone
base. Yeah,
7.
11,
Sorry, I keep saying for some reason iPhone 7, iPhone 11. It's gonna be seven. Well, that's probably why I'm saying seven
seven
hundred
hundred
dollars.
dollars.
Uh, and I think the iPhone XR was also $700,
Hmm.
or might have even been
Okay.
more. I'd have to double check, but it's not comparably priced differently. It's essentially the same price. this year for the new phone as it was last year. Like,
Yeah.
price isn't really going up. Um,
That's because they put all their eggs in like their pros. I mean the max, whatever, right?
I mean, but not even really. It felt like, especially with the XR, and then like the X and the XS,
Yeah.
there's like I know there's a marketing strategy, right, where you go like, oh, here's like the base version and here's
Yeah.
the elite version.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make it so that like the elite version isn't as good as the base version, like for its money. So really the
Well,
elite version's there to get you to buy the
the
normal
lower version.
version kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, where it's like,
People are. I think. I don't know. I think with Apple, it's kind of not necessarily backwards, but I see a lot of like buy that $1,000 phone. It's from Apple. It's like worth it. Now they're
yeah,
gonna get the Pro, so like that's $1,000, and then the Pro Max is
just a bigger version of the Pro,
yeah,
basically.
and it's like another $100. So at
Mhm.
that point, it's like you're gonna go for the Pro, just get the next one. It's $100 more.
Yeah, it's like from 700 to 1,000, and then it's like goes up 100.
Yeah.
So I guess it's more of like, well, because like the whole idea of having the higher price.
Mm,
So it's like you have subscriptions, for example, right? One of them is $30 and the other one's $10.
yeah.
And you base the value of the $10 one off of the $30 one. So it
Mm,
looks like it's a really good deal. It's like, oh my God, I'm
mm,
getting almost all of the features of the pro version of this subscription, but only at a third of the price.
mm,
So it's really only there to make the other one look better.
yeah.
So I think that's what the, like, in this case the iPhone 11 is, right? Or sorry, the iPhone 11 Pro,
Yeah.
right? So it's there not to be purchased, but to get people to buy the Max or the 11,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So it essentially, it's like you said, oh, you're going to spend 1,000. Well, might as well just spend an extra 100 and get this extra features.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, 1,000's too much. We'll just get the 11,
Mm,
right? I mean, it's really good. It's
yeah.
the bottom line. So they're just there to make
Mm,
the 11 and the Max look good.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So then another feature they added related to the camera is slow fees.
oh, the slow fees, yes. Twitter did not enjoy the slow fees.
And what? Why? You gotta like these like random like gimmicks on their phone on like the cameras. Just
I mean, it's
it's
like you can add it and it's like cool, but don't try to like market it to us as like
yeah.
this new cooler version of selfies, as if people like selfies.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I
That's why we
feel like
covered up our face with the weird emoji shit that they came out with.
hmm
Covering up our faces with that. Leave it like there. I don't want to see your face.
I think people like naturally take selfies in this day and age, just like in general. But to make it so I have to hold it for even a couple more seconds and like it's like, oh, is it cooler now that it's a video? No, it's a selfie. It doesn't matter if you have to look at my face for 3 seconds while it slightly moves versus just a still frame picture.
It's for like I don't know.
It's not
What are you
it's
gonna
not
like have
interesting.
just unless you can like flip your hair or like jiggle your boobs. I feel like there's no point in having a slow motion front facing
Basically,
camera.
honestly.
So
It's like for that one movement you can get in the
yeah,
2 second,
yeah,
3 second, whatever. But then it's also like slowed down, which is so it's not even a second. It would be probably like half a second or 10th of a
mm,
second, depending on how slowed down it is. Which it didn't even state,
no,
did it?
I didn't see that.
Like the frames per second of what it's gonna be.
No, no, I didn't see.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's like you said, like a hair flip or like a wink or something like
Yeah,
that. Like you can get like a
like
wink in.
they already have that like app Boomerang or whatever that like does it that like goes forward and backwards, and then
hmm
people do that shit already, and it kind of slows it. Man, it's stupid.
It's definitely not a major selling point,
No,
and people just kind of made fun of them for it.
right. And then so we said RAM. So then there's the battery life that I
Oh yeah,
couldn't.
it's higher.
Right, but I couldn't find like the milliamp hours, and everywhere I was searching.
It just
And
said like 4 hours
right,
more.
so the Pro is supposed to be 4 hours, have 4 hours more battery life than the XS Max, and 5 hours more on the Pro Max than the
hmm
XS Max.
So now, for the first time, I actually I don't really know about the previous version. I only really know about the X
Mm,
models. But in the X models, the XR actually had the highest battery.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they probably realized that that's dumb. That the lowest priced model has the best battery of the previous generation. So they probably made a slightly better
Well,
battery for the Max Pro, which is why we're seeing the 5 hours and then 4 hours and then
well, no, I
what
mean it
about the
just gets
regular?
better in the next generation, and I guess they just were able to make it a little better.
What I'm
Um,
saying though is like
but
okay.
that's I think with the XR wasn't that like supposed to be like a lower tier where like not like lower tier but like lower processing, so like it's kind of a lighter version. Was that not what the
I
XR
don't
was supposed to be?
remember. I think that there was a slightly weaker processor, but when actually put to the test, was not really any sort of noticeable difference
Hmm.
in their
They probably do it to fit with the battery. Like it probably like does the difference in the processing probably doesn't isn't significantly different to
yeah.
notice, but as far as battery usage, it probably was to make it last longer, I think.
Right, but I'm just mean like from a marketing
Yeah.
perspective, it's kind of sad when you look at all the stats for the three phones and then you're like, "Oh,
Eh,
the XR is got better battery life than the other
yeah.
two." It's like, okay, well, yeah, like when I did the research when I got my XR,
Hmm.
um, I looked at all of the stats. I looked at the specifications. I looked at reviews. I read as much as I could because I wanted to pick the one that I felt was the best bang for my buck.
Yeah.
And every single thing screamed XR.
Yeah, I mean,
And I don't think that they want that this time around, which is
uh,
also probably why they're dropping the X or so the R and the
hmm.
S, and they're doing this like
Didn't that stuff come
base
out after though?
plus, extra plus.
That stuff came out like secondary though, I thought.
What?
Or was that alongside with the X? It was like the
What?
X, the XR, and the X.
Yeah, so that like
All of
right
that
now
came out
it's
XS Pro.
the 11 Max or the 11 Pro and then the
Right.
11 Pro Max. But
Right.
before it
Mm.
was the XR X XS.
Okay.
So the XR was their base model.
Gotcha.
But with that generation, I think like when the numbers came out, the XR did insanely better than the
Yeah.
other two
Mm.
versions because they realized that they made it significantly
Yeah.
better bang for its buck. And I think this time around, they're like, we need to make sure that there's a better increment of
Mm.
features and of like specifications when you go from the 11 to the 11 Pro to the Max.
Mm.
So now they probably made sure that the battery life is better as you
Yeah.
go up
Mm.
rather than going down as you go up, which is what happened in the previous version.
Yeah. I
Probably like the same battery,
Well, that's what I'm
like
saying. Like,
with
it's
weaker
intuitive,
processing to
right?
higher
That's what
processing.
I was
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah, it's kind of intuitive to be like, you have the same battery and using less power, and you're gonna last longer.
Right. So it seems like they're trying much harder to stop people from all buying the 11.
But that's so dumb, man. Like that just
Mhm.
means they could have fit a better battery in the 11, make it last longer than it does now, and that's it. And
What do you mean?
so like they could
Oh, right, because
afford
they're
to put
they're
it in there, is all
yeah.
I'm saying, and they're not gonna do it just because of marketing standpoint.
Right. And then I think the other reason too that they dropped the XR, X, and XS is because they weren't marketed as being better or worse than each other.
Yeah, they were just
It's just
announced.
XR,
Yeah, yeah.
XS. It's like I don't know. Like if you told somebody who's never had an iPhone in their life and you said, "What's the best of these three? The XR, the X, or the XS?" They'd be
Mm.
like, "I don't fucking know."
Yeah.
But if you ask them, "Hey, what's better, the 11, the 11 Pro, or the 11 Pro Max?" They'd be like, "Well, it's probably the 11 is the worst one, and then
Mm.
the 11 Pro, and then the 11 Pro Max because
Yeah.
just the names themselves
Yeah, that
do
whole
that."
X and S and XS, like what? Like the whole marketing
hmm
got screwed up, man.
I kind of liked
But
it though because it was like the first time that the lowest
no,
tier
I'm just
version
saying
was
that
like
the
basically
names.
almost
I'm
as
just saying their
good.
names are stupid.
Yeah, the
That's all
names.
it is.
At least like now it's more I guess intuitive
Yeah.
when you like read them like oh which one's better. Um, maybe like they saw a lot of people who were making a lot of money and could afford like the better phone were still buying the XR.
Yeah.
So they're like okay well we need to like redo something here and make sure that the rich people are buying the Pro Max
Yeah.
and not the
Okay.
11.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but I mean, they didn't just talk about
The
the
iPhone.
iPhone.
Yeah.
There's also the
The
what was
what?
there's the
One.
pad. The
Yeah, the
iPad.
iPad they came out with it. They're making it was a 9.7 inch. Now that was the previous version, and now
And this
this
is like
version is a
10.2.
10.2 inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just announced the plain iPad. I
Yeah.
imagine they'll come out with a Pro. I'm not sure. There
I
was
mean,
no like
maybe
talk
not.
of it. Maybe not. I thought that at some point they were talking that the iPad was kind of dead, and that
Really?
because like your phone could do so much, we're making them bigger, kind of like pads
I guess
or like
you really don't
tablets.
see people with tablets much.
No.
I mean, I do have a tablet, and I personally enjoy
Mm.
tablets. Especially for like reading, for
Yeah.
example, is like something you can't really do on
Mm-mm.
your phone as easily. If you're like
Yeah.
reading a book
I
and
would.
you want to use your tablet for
Yeah.
that.
The other thing I see is like art. Oh, that's
Yep.
like really,
All
really
the
good.
creative
Of course.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But like as far as like a normal, unless it's like you have a kid, I don't really see it. Like it's
Hmm.
either for your professional type of stuff or if you really have a kid.
Also, another thing too, I do know that a lot of schools
Mm,
require iPads now.
yeah.
It's actually like,
It's
when
starting
we
to do
used to
that.
get on the sheet of, requirements for school and like what you
Yeah.
need. Now iPads are on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
So
Chromebook, I've seen that. I mean,
mhm.
that's kind of separate, but yeah, along the same vein.
I think that it's not dead. I think that they just realized that making multiple versions
Wasn't worth it.
doesn't, yeah.
Right. I knew they were reducing that.
So
I,
they're just coming out with like one version now a year
that's what it
probably,
sounds like.
but there's still money to be
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that it's like 350
$50.
bucks or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
it's hilarious to me too because then it's like the bottom price of the 11 is 700 bucks, so it's more than double the price of the iPad, which I
Yeah.
guess is like the miniaturization of like the actual like hardware probably costs a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Well, also if it's like 4G or whatever, they
Hmm.
usually up the price with that.
Right, and then also with phones, you're usually leasing them or
Mm,
you're like doing a payment plan, so
yeah,
you don't actually like feel the hit of the $700, so they
yeah,
can charge you higher.
yeah.
But with an iPad, you're buying it flat out,
Usually,
so
yeah.
you're chalking up 350, right
Mhm.
at the
Fun.
purchase.
Yeah.
But there's really nothing really
No,
particularly special when it comes to the
no.
iPad. Kind of boring.
Yeah.
Seems like they're moving away from that.
It's like the marketing.
But then they also announced the arcade.
Yeah.
They
Apple
interestingly enough,
Arcade.
they well, so one actually thing that we skipped over with the phone is that they came out with the newer chip,
Yeah, but the processor.
and apparently it also is better like GPU processing, like
Yeah,
video
yeah.
processing. And they tried showing that off with like some new game or something called what was it called again? It was like Pascal's something like that. It was like a
Yeah.
Witcher 3 copy slash like Bloodborne copy, or
Yeah.
is what people were describing it as. Um, and it looks, I guess, like on par with not consoles, maybe like
Like the
last
Switch.
gen consoles.
Okay.
Not really Switch, because like Switch is
I mean handheld Switch.
probably actually like probably at the level of the handheld Switch. The thing is that the games made for Switch are more cartoony focused
I
than
mean
like
they're
realism
putting Witcher
focused.
on there. I'm talking if you took like Witcher
Okay, yeah,
and you put it on there.
yeah, it looks about as good as The Witcher does, honestly, which is still like last gen graphics, but it's like
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think that it didn't look like the lighting engine was as good
Oh.
for it though. So, and lighting is usually like a big part of how demanding graphics can be.
Yeah.
So not sure exactly like what level these phones are comparably
Yeah.
to
Okay.
um like consoles, for example.
Mm.
Uh but they apparently that's not going to be part of the arcade.
Huh. Well, isn't the arcade so from my understanding it's like you pay monthly
Yeah.
and it's like ad-free games.
So
That
I
would
don't know if it's like ad free. It looked like
from
they
it's a gaming subscription and it
yeah,
says it's a ad-free gaming service will launch September 19th for $5 a month.
for your whole family. Think of like 6 people that
Mhm.
can get on it.
I think so. And it's like it's a dedicated there's like an arcade tab in the App Store
Hmm.
and it's just gonna have exclusive games on it. I don't know what that means.
So the question is like, does that mean exclusive as in I can't buy it off the normal store for like a full price of like let's say $10 or something?
Must be because it's more than 100 groundbreaking exclusive games.
Or it might just mean like exclusive to iPhone,
Could be.
not exclusive
Oh,
to
yeah.
the subscription.
Like Apple. Like,
Yeah.
because all the titles are playable on the iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV.
Okay.
Just like across their internal platforms.
Yeah. And I think they were all made by, or at least a lot of them are made by major studios like Capcom
Like
and
Konami,
yeah,
Square
Konami.
Enix, right?
And it sounds like they probably like paid them to make a game for the platform, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like exclusive to the platform. But the thing is that games don't look
They're all
that much
mobile.
better than like most other games.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is like there's so many free fucking games on your fucking store.
Yeah. I
And
mean, well, they ad free.
a lot of free to play games are ad free actually. Like Clash Royale is ad free,
Yeah.
but they've got like tons and tons and tons of monetization.
Yeah.
Um, I guess these games they looked to me more like single player kind of games and
Mm.
stuff like that
Yeah.
that aren't gonna have ads in them and are like more like
Okay.
they looked kind of more console-y.
I mean, here's the weird hack, right? So if it's single player, you don't need to be connected to the internet.
Mhm.
Ads need the internet to show to you. So you just turn off the internet on your phone and you play a single player game, and then you get no ads.
Yeah. But I mean, with
And
this you wouldn't get ads, right?
that's what I'm saying though. Like if you had a game, if you had like obviously if they're exclusive, you
Mhm.
can't get them. But if you could get this game, play it for free, but it has ads, you turn off your internet,
Right.
and then you don't get ads without paying. That's what I'm saying.
I guess like a lot of games make it so you need internet that'll play
Yeah.
them,
Yes.
which is the annoying part. But
Yeah.
I think I actually read with the Apple Arcade that they can be played offline
Oh,
if you have them downloaded.
okay. That's
So
cool.
that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
What happens though if I download them and then I get rid of my subscription? Do I still have them
Just
because they're
never connect
downloaded
to the
locally?
internet. Yeah.
I guess if I never, yeah, I guess I have to like, turn off the internet, unsubscribe on like a different device so that I don't have to
Mm.
like re-enable the internet, and I just have all these games on the phone.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. Just never text anybody ever again.
Elite hacker.
Never use the internet on my phone ever again.
But
That'll work.
just get an old phone. Or when you upgrade to your next iPhone,
hmm
you
Have
put
like
it
one
on there.
iPhone just for games,
Yes.
one iPhone just for.
Just
Well, I guess at that point you might as well just get the tablet for these games.
there you go. Never
Half the
connect.
price,
Yeah.
and I can just no internet on that. There you go. Problem solved.
There we go.
Genius. But honestly, I really can't imagine a lot of people paying for this. I feel like there's just so many options already on the store, so many games. It's already super
Yeah.
saturated. People also don't like console games on their mobile devices, in my experience, unless they're like very mobile like already.
I think that's like the main like thing they're going for is that these games will be mainly for mobile and designed with the idea that you're gonna play them on mobile.
Well, I looked at them and they do look more like professional games
Right.
that would be on like a Switch or on an Xbox or something
Yeah.
like that, or even on PC. Like full 3D with like storylines and characters and things like that that are a little bit more in line with console.
Mm.
But I think they have like mobile sort of like a little bit of a tinge of
Mechanics.
mobile and
Okay.
like a little bit of that feeling so that when you're I guess when you're playing them on your iPhone it still feels like a mobile game, but I don't know.
That's
I
fair.
just don't think that people
Yeah.
want that same experience. They want like with mobile it's very like quick.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want to pick it up, play it for 10, 15 minutes, and
Yeah.
then I can
If I
put it
get
down.
interrupted, I don't care. I can kind of put it down.
Right. And then it's like if I wanted to play a real game, I would play on my Switch
Yeah.
or I would play on my console where I can sit down, focus, and be
Mhm.
there for like 6, 7 hours
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
And no one's really gonna like sit in front of their phone for 6, 7 hours straight. But then again, this is focused towards kids, and kids have grown up with like
Yeah.
phones being their TV. So maybe it's a little different given our age versus like a kid.
Yeah. And like it's probably better for some parents to just be like, "Oh, we're gonna just pay for this like arcade and then like here's access to all these games and never ask me for money
hmm
to pay in game or unlock this or buy this game. You're gonna get this and that's it."
I feel like if you did that though, then the kid would be like, "Well, fuck arcade. I want my Fortnite like V-Bucks for my mobile version of Fortnite or something." Or like,
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
but $5 a month. I mean, I paid like $5 a month for Origin for
Yeah,
the Origin Access like entry level one.
yeah.
At least that feels like worth it. But $5 a
I don't
month
know.
for like a
I can
bunch of
imagine.
crappy
Yeah,
games.
yeah, and like mobile, like nah, no thanks.
Maybe if it like comes out, we find out these games getting like fantastic reviews and are actually like really good, then I think that's going to be the
Mhm.
main selling point for
I mean,
people is if the games themselves are really good.
the biggest way to get more people there to buy this thing is to get it be more online games, so that you get like, oh, in order to play online, I need to like pay and then play with everybody else. Like you get
Right, but
other people
then
to pay.
I think people get discouraged by that too, though, at the same time, where it's like, oh, if my friend's not going to buy it, that means I can't play this game with him. Might as well not buy it at all, because unless I
Mm.
get my friend to buy it,
Unless
it's
they
not
get
worth
like
me getting
Ninja to play it, and then Ninja makes all
it.
the kids want to play, and then they all
hmm
go buy it, and then all their friends have to buy it because you have it. You're not the
hmm
cool kid at school that has arcade on his phone or something like that.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. I think it can go both ways, but it's all going to be about the quality of the games
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
definitely.
But they also had the new watch.
Apple Watch. It's the fifth series. So, I guess the biggest upfront thing they kind of talked about was always on display.
hmm
So instead of when the previous watches turn the display off when you lowered your wrist, this will stay on unless you deliberately turn it off. And I can only see that being negative because it's like a more of battery drain, and I can't think of a situation where I would need to keep my watch on if I'm not looking at it or lifting it up in any sort of way.
I kind of understand this move though, like a little bit. I think it's kind of more of them thinking of like making it more like a real watch, right? Because like if I'm walking like through the grocery store, I
Hmm.
see some guy, he's got like something on his wrist, and then it's just like a blank black
Okay.
screen. It's like, oh, it's an iPhone or like an Apple Watch or
Okay.
whatever. But then it's like if it actually has the time on it, it feels more like a real watch. It has like that feeling of like,
Yeah, but
okay, it's not gonna just disappear because I turned my wrist away.
like the whole point of it is like, okay, you can only see the face when you're looking at it, so only you know when unless you're looking in a freaking mirror and be like, oh, look how cool this watch is that
Mhm.
looks on me in the mirror. You're not gonna know that you like it's not showing up. It's like, oh, it's cool. It's like a real watch. Like I don't know. It's
I guess
just
maybe I'm thinking of it more from like a luxury standpoint of
yeah,
like,
but even
if I
the
walk in
Apple
with like
Watch
a
is
Rolex,
okay.
it's like if my Rolex was just a black
Then get
screen,
like
then it would look fucking stupid.
no, I know, but like get like a Fossil or like fucking even the Samsung phones that Samsung watches that look like actual watches and then have a face that's a digital face. But this is a freaking weird ass square round shit that you know it's a
Yeah.
device and not like a fucking like mechanical watch. So there's no point in pretending that
I
it's a
do agree with
watch.
that. I think it would be actually super cool if Apple tried to make their watch look more like a
Yeah.
watch, and then had the face do that too. And then that would be kind of just
Hmm.
like cool in general. But they
Yeah.
like that square, I guess, look. But
Yeah.
then again, there is a lot of watches that are square. They can stick with the square look, but they just
No,
need to add
the square looks
something.
are almost always like sharp.
Yeah,
This is not sharp. You know
no,
what
it's like
the
a
watch is
circle.
round on
It's
all
like
sides.
yeah. What's it called?
So
Like beveled? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there you go. Where the screen comes around the edge so you can scratch it accidentally if
hmm
you like lean on something the wrong way.
I've never liked the design of the Apple Watch, but at the same
No.
time, I think it is kind of cool. I can see the time, even if I'm like not looking at it, or like other people can see it.
Mm.
So like
I
maybe
don't
if
know.
it's
Well,
like
so what they
my
say.
daughter or like my friend or my girlfriend is like, "What time is it?" And I'm just like, "Boom, look at my
Yeah.
watch."
Yeah. I
Instead
guess.
of having to like turn it towards myself and then go,
Mm.
"Oh, nope, it turned off. Oh, let me
I
turn it back."
guess.
You know?
Well, okay. So what the way they explain it is the brightness drops and the screen's refresh rate dips down to 1 refresh per second,
Yeah.
and it says your complications and watch faces stay visible. So is it going to drop down to brightness? You can't even see it anyway, like that.
So that yeah, if the
So does
brightness
it
drops
matter?
too much, then it might not really
Be worth
matter.
it? Yeah.
But I feel like that's more like an outdoor thing where it's like if there's enough light around you, then you won't be able to see it.
Okay. So
But if you're
then.
like indoor, you can probably see it fine. And then the one refresh per second is probably the fact that the seconds like arm has to move once every second,
Yeah.
so
Well,
they
yeah.
just have to like refresh it every second and have
That's
that
yeah.
move.
That makes sense.
Um,
They say that the battery should last about 18 hours per charge, and I'm not sure if that's necessarily an upgrade. I mean, that's pretty good. It's like a phone at this point, right? That their
Basically.
watches are like their phone battery. I don't know. I think a really good smartwatch lasts more than one day. I think that we need to get to that point. Here's they got though like the fitness watches like Fitbits and stuff that they don't do as much, and especially if like it just has like a plain old clock face. It just does that and it lasts like 5 days, which is that makes sense. But if you start adding features, then you start like doing processing and all this stuff.
Hmm.
But I still think that like I don't know, I like going to sleep with a watch that tracks my heart rate in my sleep. Like if I have to take it off and charge it at
Uh,
night, then it kind of like it's less useful because otherwise I'm going to work tracking my heart rate. Yeah, I can go to the gym or work out, and that's really cool having it. But if I'm gonna go to sleep and not wear it, then like I'm not tracking my sleep,
I mean,
and
there's not a lot of people that go to sleep with their regular watch on overnight in the first
that's
place.
true. And maybe it's supposed to be replacing your watch, but I think it's supposed to be the technology that helps you. It has a alarm that buzzes on your wrist to help wake
Hmm.
you up. It'll track your heart rate, track all these things, and if the less time you're wearing it, the less useful it is.
Right. I guess it's like kind of an interesting argument of like including features that assist you with like sleeping or
Yeah.
information related to that. But then also at the same time, having to charge it every single day defeats that purpose. And another thing too is that with the 18 hours, do we know if that's like 18 hours of it being
Mm.
used or like if I just don't even touch it all day? I don't even look at it once. I don't make the screen light up a single time. Will it
Right.
still only last 18 hours?
I don't know. Well, like if you like turn off notifications and you're using it as like
Mhm.
just like a watch even, or like not
Right.
using it like
Would I be able to like make it last longer or is that, like a constant use 18 hours? I've always wondered about those numbers because they always release like numbers like
they
that
say
and then
about, and they always release it like that. Like for example, the Fitbit I have, they say it's about 4 days, and that just depends on how many notifications that are like
mhm.
communicating
And
and
also like the type of app you use.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
I think there is games, right, on the Apple
There
Watch?
must be. There's got to be at least. I've gotten like Flappy Bird on my Fitbit,
Yeah, there you go.
so like
So if I'm playing
Apple
Flappy Bird
has
all
that
day, it's
something.
definitely gonna run out faster.
Yeah, exactly. And like they don't take that. I don't think that's. I think they like talk about normal usage and not like excessive gaming. It's like if you said your phone lasts a certain amount of hours. That's why they kind of actually do break it down when they say gaming, stream. They think
Yeah.
about like video or listening to music and stuff like that. Then you can break it down really well. They don't really haven't. They haven't done that with the watch, I guess.
Yeah, they just kind of like throw this 18 hours at you and I feel like it's not a good representation because I'm sure that the difference between no use and constant use is probably like 6 hours to 24 hours or
Yeah,
28 hours or something, like a big difference because if I'm not making that thing light up at all or using it at all, I can't imagine it's still only going to last 18
yeah,
hours.
exactly. And there's nothing worse than like, oh, my battery lasted all day and it looks good enough, and then I wake up and the battery's dead. Now you can't wear it when you go to work or whatever,
Yeah.
and for your day. Like it's just like 18 hours is like the wrong amount of time to have an amount of
Right, because
battery.
then it's like by the end of the day, you usually, if you're, let's say, sleeping like 8 hours,
Right.
that would be only 16. So you'd be left with like 2 hours worth of battery, which maybe is actually the point
Hmm.
because they're hoping it'll be at like 10%.
Uh,
Because if it's at 10%, then you'll be like, oh no, tomorrow I'm not going to have enough battery. So you go
yeah.
and plug it in. So it's like 2 hours more before you run out.
Yeah.
So they're like basing the battery length off of an entire day.
Yeah.
And you know what, too, also is if they made it like 24 hours, then that would be even worse because then it's like if you didn't charge it that night, then it runs out halfway through the next day.
Hmm.
So they would have to do it in increments of, um,
Like
well, I
12
guess it
out
would
12
be
hours. I would
increments
say.
of 16 hours plus 2 hours.
Okay.
So that like you have low percentage when you get home
Yeah.
to make you want to plug it in. You don't want to run out.
Yeah.
So if you sleep for um like 8 hours, and it would be like 16 hours. So the next one would be maybe
Yeah.
32 hours. Yeah.
Well, 16, yes, 32. I guess unless you would like charge it when you get back home, or and
Like
if it
right
takes like
away.
an hour or two, then it's like no big deal. I don't know how long these take to charge though.
I mean, I think that
I
they
imagine
want it
it'd
to
be
be
like an
like,
hour
cause
or two.
I plug in my phone right before I go to bed, and I think like that's usually like what everyone does is they try to plug their phone in like right before bed.
Yeah, but now with like these turbochargers or whatever you call them, lightning and shit,
Hmm.
they charge in like 2 hours. So
Right. I mean, maybe if my like desk was just like a whole charging table, that'd be kind of cool. You just like put stuff on like your like
yes,
bedside
a
table
whole
or
mat
whatever,
of just
or bedside
charging.
table.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. But then if like right now I gotta like put it on some circular bullshit, and I've gotta like have them all plugged in. I've got all these like cables on my bedside table. Like the more devices I have, like the more annoying that feels.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't even remember to plug in my phone at night, let alone have to like remember to plug in an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
It's too much
Yeah.
and not worth like what it gives you. I think a lot of the time. Is there any other news?
I think that's kind of the biggest stuff
I
that
know they're
they kind
coming
of
out
talked
with
about.
the new iOS version as well,
Yeah, that comes
iOS
out with the
13.
phone. Yeah,
Hmm.
and they didn't really mention the many features, did they?
Not
Not really
really.
anything.
I think there was like some small features. Actually, I don't even remember like any of the features. I don't think
I
there
don't
was
think
really
so.
anything of like real
Mm,
noteworthy. Um, Honestly, like most of these updates feel like they don't really come out with much noteworthy stuff anymore. Apple sort of stopped being innovative and completely fell behind everyone else and is like now playing catch up instead of like being the forefront of the
yeah,
technology.
yeah, that's true. Well, they do like They used to do it in a smart way. They used to come out with the features after everybody had come out with it first, and then just made it better. That's like the thing they're known for best.
Mm,
And for like making it be like, oh, we did it first or we did it better, even if they didn't do it first. That's what they were known for. But now it doesn't even feel like that. This just
yeah.
like you said, it feels like catch up.
They don't even have the feature that like the Galaxy 10s have where you can like put your like chargeables
Oh
on the
yeah.
back
Oh yeah, yeah.
and it'll
Put your
like
phone
charge it.
face down. Yeah.
Which I mean, I don't know how awesome that is really though, because it's like you're sucking the battery from your phone
Mm,
into let's say you're like
yeah. But,
ear pods or yeah,
I mean,
your earphones.
yeah. I guess it'd be worth it if like it's depending on your battery life that you have.
Well, then again,
I
I
think
guess my battery doesn't run out in a whole day
the
for
only
my phone.
situation I can see it really being good in is if you have one charger and your friend needs to charge his phone and you need to charge your phone, you plug your phone in
Oh,
and
and you
then you
put
put
the
your friend's
phones.
phone on top. So now you're charging your phone and his phone. It's
Mhm. It's actually, I mean, but wouldn't you get essentially the same effect by plugging in your phone for like 30 minutes and then plugging his phone in for the next 30 minutes versus like plugging your phone in and
yeah, I mean
putting
it's not
his phone on the
efficient, but it's
back?
like a compromise.
Hmm.
It's
I
like being
guess then
like,
that's like after the hour you just both take your phone out and it's like, oh, we didn't have to unplug one and plug in the other and
right,
remember.
right,
But isn't there like some loss of electricity
yes,
when you have to go through the
transfer like
magnetic
that.
field? Yeah.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
So it actually would be technically slightly less efficient to do it that way
Yes. Oh
than just
yeah.
plugging it in and then
It's just
plugging
like
your
a
phone in.
good compromise over like, dude, what's your percent? No, what's your percent?
Right.
Now you just both, fuck it, let's just both put it on.
Hmm. But yeah, I mean that's
Yeah,
kind of it.
yeah,
Little lukewarm. They have a
yeah.
year.
Weird.
Nothing
I'm waiting
nothing
for
major.
like I said, their like midway update on like here's this new feature or whatever. Or like
Hmm.
when like or they're like doing some weird marketing where they don't announce anything on iOS, the new iOS, and then when the phone comes out, then people are finding like, oh my god, they came out with this thing, and then it's just
Yeah.
big news and self marketing.
I mean, I'm just waiting for, the next big step. I feel like we haven't
Mm.
hit it yet, you know.
I think yeah, we missed it with the folding phones.
Right. And I think that everyone kind of got scared away from that with
Yeah,
Samsung's
I
attempt.
think they're coming back with it.
Yeah, they're still coming out. I think they look like that they kind of cleared up a lot of the issues and that the
Yeah,
phone was actually getting fantastic reviews
yeah.
now. Maybe I don't know about the crease though. I don't think we can get rid of the crease just yet.
Sure, it's a future problem.
And the other thing too about foldable phones, not to like get too into them, but the screen is like weaker,
Flexible and like
you can
way
like
easier to
scratch it.
damage. Yeah.
And like right now we're using these like insanely
Tough Gorilla
tough
Glass.
glass.
Yeah.
And it's like you can take like your keys and just like jam it on there and give it as hard of a scratch as you can. There's just nothing there afterwards. And at the same time, there's these companies selling you like covers and shit for your phones in case it gets scratched. And it's like, yeah, sure, maybe my iPhone 5 got scratched, but not the 11.
Yeah.
It's just like a giant scam of like $20 per one of those. And then the actual plastic screen on top is weaker than the glass, and then the screen gets scratched. So then you have to replace the screen with a new plastic screen cover. So meanwhile, like your regular phone would have not gotten scratched in the first place. So that's a fun little mini rant there about those stupid fucking screen protectors. Scam. Yeah, that's about it. Let us know what you guys think about the iPhone. Whether you think it's worth it, whether or not you think it's kind of lame. What do you think?
You asking me?
Yeah, like what other questions would you like to pose?
Is it worth buying the new one right now, or are they gonna come out with one that's like the 11.5, and you're gonna get that one?
Yeah, you're gonna wait like maybe till next year entirely. Does this feel just like kind of like a rollover year? Yeah, let us know what you guys think.
As always, thank you for listening and following.
Check us out every Thursday on YouTube, Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are available.
You can find us on Instagram at Unstoppable Force Podcast and Twitter at UForcePod for news and updates.
We'll see you guys next week. And until then, stay unstoppable.